every writer gets them. 3 most frequently asked questions. Have you always known you were a writer? You know, when did you start, kind of thing. What do you write? And where do you get your ideas? The third one especially, authors just... The first one. I started out at a very young age as a visual artist. I would have these ideas in my head, and I would not, honestly, have the talent, or in some cases the materials, to fully create the idea that I had. Coming from a background in, well, I'll be honest, comic books and fantasy and horror and sci-fi, my artwork always somehow revolved around storylines. So I ended up making these storylines for images. I ended up moving away from visual arts, and I got into seriously writing more. I was probably about 23 when I started Bunny Rabbit Ears, seriously writing Petty Like a God, my first novel. I ended up taking a break on that for quite a number of years to work on short stories, but that's it. I think I was always a storyteller. I was just doing it in the form of visual arts. But I am far more fulfilled now as a writer than I ever was, personally, as a visual artist. Number 2, the what do you write? I write a combination of modern horror and urban fantasy. I grew up on a steady diet of comic books and horror movies. I mean, I remember these books in the children's section of the library, my local library, that were the children's novelizations of old black and white Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff horror films, and I devoured these things, and I read the R.L. Stine, you know, the stuff before the Goosebumps, but then I was also reading X-Men and Superman, and so in my head this all makes sense together. They say that horror is when it's normal people thrust into unbelievable situations the protagonists don't know, whereas in urban fantasy the protagonists are in the know and they are the higher elevated entities or what have you. The problem is I have found that horror fans, horror writers feel that my work is too much urban fantasy, while urban fantasy fans feel my work is far too horrific. Either way, it's somewhere in there. It's some type of combination of that. As for the third, where do I get my ideas? I get them everywhere. It's my short story collection. There are a ton of short stories in there that are based on nothing but images. There were contests from back in the day where you would have to come up with story ideas based on a single JPEG image. Well, I can look at that and go, oh, well, obviously because there's a hand rising out of a swamp and there's a dove flying overhead, it means this. Or they'll give you a title. Like, here's the title of this short story, write it. Okay, awesome, great. I've written stuff around a song. Like, what does the song make you feel? You can get it from anywhere. You hear someone say something in the other room, and somehow you hear it incorrectly, and next thing you know, what? You know, and you have this crazy idea for just a little piece, a little vignette in a novel. It doesn't matter. You can get ideas from anywhere. The idea that you might have writer's block, it's nonsense. You just have to be able to take what's around you and twist it into something entertaining, something creative, something new. And it's not hard, and it's fun. And you have to be able to tell it in a way that is fun for you, fun for the reader, bringing something new to the table. There's a duty to both yourself and your reader. And I think that's the ultimate goal of any author.